Are you stealing my computer from me? Are you stealing your computer from under my computer, thus disturbing the universe? Okay. So, I got cut off on LifterLMS office hours when I was talking about some good coding practices for someone who's going to be developing in LifterLMS. So I was ranting about it, and I'm like, why don't I rant about it on YouTube so other people can learn from this? So, coding with AI. If you are like a no-code programmer who's learning to code, it's kind of challenging to be in that transitional phase because you have drag and drop builder knowledge, you know about templates, you know about loops, you know about building complicated things in WordPress with page builders, but you don't necessarily have the seasoned coding knowledge under your belt in order to feel like you can post your code in the community, in order to feel like you can build a product that really works. So you're going to go through a transitional phase, and all developers, I guess almost all developers probably now use AI to assist them in their process. Of course, they're checking everything and they know what's going on, so they can see what the AI is doing wrong. But when you can see what AI is doing wrong sometimes, but then not other times, these are some tips for you. So coding with AI using the GPT versus Copilot. That's step one. I would recommend Copilot. It will read parts of other items within your coding interface. You can ask it to specifically read certain areas. Or like if you're building on top of a WordPress plugin, for example, like LifterLMS, you can have Copilot examine all the functions that LifterLMS uses and exactly how the logic is put together. If you go to Grok or if you go to Claude or ChatGPT, it might not have the same background knowledge. It might be able to search the web and find some things about the REST API, but if you're using Copilot, it can actually give you some referential code, so it's less likely to hallucinate when it comes to referencing functions, because a lot of times it will be like, use the LLMS like enrollment underscore like trigger or something. It's like, that's not a thing. Like, that's not how that function is called. And so the Copilot will usually get that right a little more. When you build out a map of what you're going to be building functionally before you develop the code for it, it's a really helpful tool because you have a functional map of like, when a user loads this page, this is what happens. When a user submits this form, this is the actions that I want to happen subsequently. I want to create a user, I want to assign them to a certain course, I want to mark a couple lessons complete. Whatever it is that your code is doing, you can write out that whole functional diagram. You can use that for documentation within your plugin, things like a changelog, but you can also provide that data to your AI tool in order to make things a little bit easier and to have it consider things functionally. If you're developing like an email that goes out from your plugin, rather than building an individual email handler inside of every file that needs to send an email, you could have a separate handler file. That's pretty obvious, but the AI might not be thinking about that unless you specifically lay it out, and the AI knows that in multiple locations we're going to trigger an email, so we might be able to abstract that feature to a separate function, a separate controller or handler. And then, I forgot to put a title on here, week 3. Make sure you're not only asking the tool to compare against security standards, but you're building unit tests into your product, and you are using security tools related to those security standards to test it. Let me know in the comments below if you wanted to see a process of testing things with security tools, or if you want to know what security tools I use. But have some security standards. There's a lot of them out there. The WordPress coding standards, the most basic one. There's a lot of options for what you're going to be testing against. A lot of those things can be imported into your VS Code editor, and they can like audit what you're doing as you're doing it. That's pretty cool. Stuff like that. And then if things don't work, make sure that it's not hallucinating functions, classes, or things that are built in that or things that it thinks it has built in that it hasn't built in. You can use error logging and the debug log if you're not familiar with that. You can install errors within your code so that you can see where certain functions are happening. So you can have like an error log and then put like a little emoji. I like emojis because it's easy to see the emojis. When you're looking at a massive error log, it's like super overwhelming, but you can see the emojis, and you can see what's loading and what's not loading. as far as like every single function has an error installed in it, and you can see where things are going wrong. So yeah, that's getting started with coding with AI when you're making that transition from block editor master into I'm going to start building things myself. This will help you in the in-between phase.